Beneath Spain's wrought iron balconies and cobblestone streets lie voices. They are trapped in objects from the past. When touched, when the sun goes down, they tell their story. Be advised that this is a horror podcast with very adult themes. Have you ever poked a caterpillar with a stick? It curls up into a ball to protect itself. In today's episode, we meet Isa. She's in the iconic Retiro Park in Madrid, sitting on a bench next to an unknown blonde woman. It's Valentine's Day. Lovey-dovey, syrupy sweet couples are picnicking on checkered tablecloths, French kissing, and feeding each other chunks of cheese. Gross. After divorcing her jerk-face ex, she's too old to deal with all this dating bullshit, and very happy living by herself in her cute studio apartment overlooking the park, thank you very much. When Isa and the blonde woman discover a creepy little man spying on them through the bushes while he plays his flute, they chase after him. In the scuffle, Isa touches the flute under the setting sun. The voices trapped inside take her back to the 18th century, when the park was still a private garden to King Phillip V and the royal family. King Philip is dealing with his own matters of the heart. And why does he want to be a frog? The strange little man from the bushes forces Isa to tackle one of her greatest childhood fears. And she discovers that the strange blonde woman from the bench isn't such a stranger after all. Yo soy Samuel. Bienvenido a Spanish Sundown. Retiro Park, Madrid, February 14th, 2026. He has come out of his little house on top of the cave in the corner of the park. He's where the people are. From his hiding place behind the laurel hedge, the little green man peers through the leaves at the two strangers sitting on the bench across the grass from him. The woman on the left has short boy-cut blonde hair, and the woman on the right has long black hair with wide streaks of gray. It looks like the tiny man is squinting, but that's because his bulbous eyes keep his lids squeezed together. He flicks one of the squiggly ears that point toward the back of his skull, then takes the flute from the leather pouch around his waist. He places it on his chin, just beneath his lips that cover two rows of jagged, uneven teeth, waiting for a sign to start to play. Then, he almost drops it. Oh, sounds! The metal is slippery in the winter cold. He picks the instrument up again, then looks back at the strangers on the bench. These two women might just be what he's looking for. But there's a protocol for these things. He needs a sign before he can begin to play, and then another before he can reveal himself to the chosen couple. The woman on the right, the one with the black hair, is named Isa. She barely notices the blonde stranger next to her. She's too engrossed by the people passing by on the sandy path under the oak trees in front of her. Parents with a small boy on a bike.
Miguelito, not so fast. You'll hurt yourself.
Busking musicians.
Anyone want to chip a euro into the hat?
And the couples. Everywhere. All around. Celebrating Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is stupid. Just another American capitalist import. Just like that dumb Hollywood version of love that Isa had learned didn't really exist anyway. Because everyone's trash. There are two people in love on the other side of the path. They're sitting cross-legged on a red and white checkered tablecloth at the entrance to the monument to King Alphonse XII. The man tosses bits of cheese and chorizo into the woman's mouth. A piece of cheese misses its mark.
Babe, my mouth is over here. Babe, you're so silly.
The monument behind them is a semicircle, 80 yards wide. From the stone base, dozens of pillars, several stories high, reach up toward the bronze statue of the king on his horse. Soaring above the crowds, he reigns over the park eternally from his perch. Beyond the monument, the pond. More than a pond, it's a lake. Large enough that they staged life-size nautical battles in it centuries ago when it was first built. Now, it just has moral lovey-dovey couples in their stereotypical white and blue rowboats paddling through the flocks of ducks floating in the water. Isa shivers, looking at the cold, green February water. Of her entire childhood, 2 memories have stuck with her into adulthood. Her first memory, when she was 3, on vacation with her family in the Sierra de Gredos mountains, and she had fallen into a river.
Help! I'm drowning!
She had almost died. After that, her mother had insisted that she take swimming lessons.
No, I don't want to go.
She became an excellent swimmer, but only because they forced her to. The mere sight of water still petrifies her, even in a swimming pool, much less a pond. Back in the bushes, the little green man remains intent on the women. If they would just speak to each other, then maybe... A Chinese man approaches the enamored couple on the checkered tablecloth across the path and unzips his backpack. He sells them 2 green cans of Mao beer. The woman with the short blonde hair next to Isa on the bench waves the vendor over as Isa sees the couple slurp a sip from the same can, then kiss with lots of tongue. Ew. Her second childhood memory is the first time she got engaged. She was 7, playing with her best friend Sara in the concrete school recess yard. Her friend Sara suddenly stopped their game.
Look!
She plucked a daisy growing between the cracks of concrete and tucked it behind Isa's ear. When she did so, she laughed, her blonde hair glinting in the yellow sunshine.
Oh.
Isa liked her laugh. It tinkled. And also, the little mole on the left side of her lower lip bounced up and down. Sara then leaned in to whisper into Isa's ear.
When I grow up, I'm gonna marry you.
Isa and Sara were totally engaged, even though the teacher had chuckled and said they were being silly and that girls couldn't get married. A shame that Sara moved away the next year to Pamplona because her dad's job got transferred. And they forgot all about writing to each other, even though they had promised they would, because Isa got all busy with being a teenager and then with being a grown-up and then getting engaged again, and this time for real, and...
You want one?
The blonde stranger on the bench next to Isa speaks to her. Isa does not understand.
What? A beer. You want one?
The Chinese man is now standing in front of the 2 women, unzipping his backpack. The blonde woman decides for her.
I'll take 2, please.
That'll be €2 then.
Isa does not like receiving or giving gifts to strangers. If she really wants a beer, she'll just get it herself.
No, I'm okay. Really.
Come on. It's my treat.
Oh, okay. What the hell? Thanks.
The little green man in the bushes quietly claps his wrinkly hands in delight when he sees them crack open their cans of Mao. This is the sign he has been waiting for. He finally puts the flute between his lips and begins to play. Here's hoping that everything goes right, so that when the time comes, he can reveal himself. The 2 women think nothing of the flute music behind them. With all the musicians wandering the park, it isn't so odd to hear random instruments wafting through the air. The second time Isa got engaged, it actually led to a wedding, to Germán. When he smiled, his teeth even flashed like a movie actor's. They went to nice restaurants,
Order whatever wine you want.
took cool trips,
Bienvenue à Orly, Paris, where the local temperature is currently at 23 degrees.
and got a beautiful apartment.
It's a rooftop attic.
It was on the second night in this new home that he did the sock thing. Lying in bed, he crumpled them up in a ball and tossed them at the hamper. He yelled,
Goal!
except it wasn't a goal. When he saw the dirty socks on the floor next to the hamper, he said to Isa,
Pick them up for me, will you?
and she did. And also put his muddy shoes on the rack, and put his used dishes in the dishwasher, and organized their social life, and listened to him drone on and on and on about his work and his favorite movies and about football, and never once ask her how she was doing. He started staying late at work, later and later, until one day, he just didn't come home. Isa texted.
Is there someone else?
She almost hoped there was. That would make this easier.
No. I just don't want to be with you anymore. You aren't giving me the support I need.
So, Herman was trash. She had to move out into a much smaller studio apartment by the park. And then the pandemic happened, and she was on lockdown with a spotty internet connection on Zoom calls with her therapist.
I did everything right. I gave him everything I had. How did I end up with such a garbage human? Do I just not deserve to be loved?
Of course you're worthy of love. But you have to set boundaries and be clear about what you want too, because... The connection had dropped, but Isa realized her therapist was right. She would no longer be a doormat. She would assert herself. When her boss asked her to stay late,
Chado's kids got the flu. Could you finish up the inventory? Absolutely not. I clock out at 5.
setting boundaries. No favors. Her co-workers stopped inviting her out for drinks, though. And when her next-door neighbor, that woman who votes for, well, you know, when she yelled,
Wait! Hold the elevator!
she let it shut. She didn't need to listen to her toxicity all the way up to the 8th floor. Other neighbors who saw her do it, though, stopped holding the door for her, too. She went on a date.
So, I need to know what you're bringing. These are my expectations in a relationship. I deserve I'm with someone. I accept nothing less than what I'm saying.
Making her expectations clear. The guy ghosted her the next day. Trash. 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 Everyone was trash. And she told her therapist so.
I did what you said, and no one could handle the real me.
Everyone is worthy of love. And you did nothing wrong by setting boundaries and expectations. But remember... And the connection cut out again. Isa doesn't care anymore. Love is a stupid Hollywood lie, and people are shit. And she's just fine on her own in her cozy little studio that looks out over the Retiro. And she never feels lonely, especially not at night, or jealous looking at this insufferable couple tossing chunks of cheddar at each other like dog trainers. And besides, Tinder totally sucks, and that's...
I love your hair, by the way.
The blonde woman on the bench interrupts her thoughts again.
Sorry? Your hair. The way you wear the gray streaks. I love it.
Even through the leaves, the little man in the bushes sees Isa's face grow red as he continues to play his flute. She bites her cheeks, doing that smile-not-smile thing. The thing everyone does when they're flattered but also embarrassed and don't want to show it. She glances quickly at the woman and mutters,
Thanks.
then shifts her gaze toward the grass and the bushes behind them, avoiding eye contact. And then she notices.
Oh my God.
The blonde woman lifts a questioning eyebrow.
What?
The little green man's lips curl into a smile around the mouthpiece, his fingers dancing up and down his flute. He loves this part, when the magic begins. Isa answers.
Those flowers. They're sprouting so fast, I can see them growing.
And indeed, they are. Hundreds of little daisies pushing up through the grass, nourished by the music coming from the little man's flute. The blonde woman doesn't even look in Isa's direction. She just laughs.
Okay, what proof is this beer? No, I swear. I saw these flowers.
It did sound a little weird. She couldn't have seen that, could she? The blonde woman asked her.
By the way, what's your name? Isa. What's yours? Nice to meet you, Isa. Oh, what the fuck?
At that moment, the little man in the bushes drops his slippery flute again.
Sounds.
The women see a flutter of blurred movement behind the leaves. The blonde woman speaks first.
What was that? I think someone's hiding back there. All I saw was a hand. It looked like it was moving up and down. Oh my god. Do you think he was? Yeah, must be some pervert.
The man brings a hand to his mouth, horrified. What? No, that's not what he was doing.
We're taking a picture of you for the police, you freak.
Oh no. This is not good. He needs to run. Back to his little house in the corner of the park on top of the cave. He'll be safe there. Stay inside the hedge. Ignore the sharp sticks, the dried leaves cutting his leathery skin. Run. In the evening light, the women see a black blur scuttling through the thicket.
He's over there!
They're on his tail. Crawling on all fours, he reaches the edge of the hedge, the monument with its semicircle of tall pillars before him. He tenses the muscles in his stout legs, then leaps for the stone pillars. They're large enough, and he's small enough, that their shadows conceal him from sight.
Where'd he go?
He holds his breath and remains still behind the pillar. The two women arrive, running so fast that they almost slam into the black iron railing on the edge of the pond, designed to keep people from falling in. Isa looks at the black water and shudders, then jumps back to safety. The other woman yells.
I think he's over there.
He jumps to the next pillar. When he lands, the impact jostles the slippery flute in his leather pouch. He snatches it just in time to keep it from clattering to the ground.
We know you're here.
In the shadows, he slinks from one pillar to the next, all the way to the end of the monument, then stops. He turns his head in the evening dark and sees the two women behind him. They're still searching for him, way back at the other end. Next to him, a clearing. A wide expanse of grass under towering centenarian oaks he still remembers as runt seedlings. He has to make a run for it if he wants to reach the thick forest on the other side without getting caught. Melt into the shadow of the hedge bordering the clearing. Then sprint. Tiny legs pound the grass. He leaps into the dark woods on the other side, then stops for a moment to catch his breath. Phew. He made it. Then, he touches the leather pouch at his waist. The flute is gone. He must have lost it when he was hiding between the pillars back at the monument. He has to go back. He peers across the dark lawn toward the monument he has just come from. The girls are nowhere to be seen. Maybe they got tired and left. The park is closing soon anyway. Tiptoeing, he retraces his steps back toward the pond. When he reaches the semicircle of pillars, he moves to turn the corner, but then pulls back.
I think he dropped this little flute.
The two women are there, examining the flute. His flute. sounds.
He must be close. We'll find you, you creep.
At that moment, the slippery flute falls from Issa's grasp. It bounces toward the black iron railing between the monument and the dark pond, and then arcs through the air, about to fall into the water. The other woman's reflexes are quick, less than a split second. She leaps onto the railing and dives after the flute, catches it right before it falls into the water. But then, her foot slips. She hurtles to the other side of the railing.
Isa!
She needs help. But Issa stays where she is, staring at the rippling dark water.
Isa, hurry!
Issa is 5 again, on vacation with her family, at the river.
Help! I'm drowning!
She stands there, still. Why should she help this stranger she barely even knows anyway? No one asked her to save that dumb little flute, or to chase after that perv in the bushes. Why should she care about this person she doesn't even know? She's the one who got herself into this mess. Meanwhile, from his end of the monument, the little man discreetly slips under the iron railing and dips into the cold water. If he's quiet, he can swim to the edge, snatch the flute from her hand, and be on his merry underwater way before she even realizes what happened. The woman slips again, her feet now splashing in the deep water. One hand clutches the railing. The other still holds the flute, shaking it in the air. Issa sees the look of panic on her face.
Isa! Help me!
And she finally snaps to. She springs toward the woman. She grabs her free hand, the one holding the flute, careful to stay on her side of the railing on dry land. With both their hands on the instrument, the last ray of evening sunlight glints off its metal surface. And that's when the voices begin.
We are the voices.
The voices trapped inside the flute. Watching from his hiding place in the water, the little man's face twists into a grimace when he sees the flute slip from the blonde woman's grasp and dunk into the dark pond water. And Issa loses hold of the woman, and she falls into the water too.
Isa, help! I can barely swim!
The woman flails around in the black liquid. Issa looks at her, stock still, the river from her family vacation pounding in her ears. She hates the water, but she can swim. She takes a breath. She's not going to let this woman die. She jumps in, and when she does, the waves crash the little man against the stone lip of the pond. He screams in pain, so loud that the two women, still thrashing in the water, turn to see him. As he thinks, his full body, no, it's not time yet. He can't reveal himself. It's not time. Oh God, no! The voices have a story to tell.
Gardens of the Palace of the Buen Retiro, Madrid, 1715.
Next to the pond's rippling water, King Phillip V crouched behind the thicket of trees with his little friend. They were in his pleasure palace garden on the outskirts of Madrid.
Are you going to play them the flute, Duende?
The tiny man squinted his bulbous eyes through the leaves at the couple on the grass, just a stone's throw away from them. The woman wore blue silk over her wide pannier hoop skirts. She giggled behind her fan. The man bowed in his green embroidered vest, jacket, and knee-length breeches. Then he brought his lips to her gloved hand. The little man spoke.
Sounds. They just might do, mightn't they?
His squiggly ears pointing straight back against his skull, he began to play. The musical magic seeped into the soil, and the flowers began to grow before their very eyes. The king whispered.
It's working!
The couple soon noticed the colorful carpet bursting through the grass. The man picked one of the flowers and handed it to the woman.
Oh, it's just beautiful.
The green man whispered.
Perfect. I'll keep an eye on them. If all goes according to plan, when the time comes, I'll reveal myself. And then they'll be together forever, and then they'll be together forever.
The king looked at his reflection in the pond beside him for a moment. The light distorted his eyes, making them seem to squint, and his mouth appeared to protrude, smushing his nose and lips together in a rippling, toothless kind of snout. Then he spoke.
Why won't you play the flute for me and the queen? I want her to love me too. We've already been over this. I don't make anyone love anyone else. I just make the flowers grow. That brings them together. And if they're a good match, then I reveal myself. The sight of me is magical. It keeps them together forever. But how do you know when they're a good match? I just know. Nobody loves me. Not the queen, not Spain. I'm so unhappy.
King Philip V wasn't even supposed to be king. He was so far back in the line of succession. But after a series of unfortunate deaths of relatives and cross-border wheeling and dealing, he had been yanked from his native Versailles in France and plopped onto the throne in Madrid. His reign was plagued by wars of secession and by rebellions. And the queen, well, she barely noticed him. And when she did, she generally didn't have much nice to say.
If I make the queen love me, will you play the flute for us? If I see you're a good match, then yes.
King Philip looked back at his reflection in the pond. He held his hand up. The swirling liquid made it look like he had webbing between his fingers. Between that and his smushed, algae-green face, he looked for all the world like an amphibian. He opened his mouth.
Sometimes I wish I was a frog. Why's that? Because frogs don't need to be loved. How can I make the queen love me? Have you thought about confiding in her? Maybe telling her the secret that you told me.
King Philip remained thoughtful, looking into the pond. No, he hadn't thought of that. King Philip strode into the palace of the Buen Retiro, a sprawling pink granite structure with French windows and black slate towers crowning the corners. To so much fanfare.
All hail King Philip V.
All fake. He knew Spain didn't really love him. And he was sick of it. He never wanted this. He never wanted to be king. He went to see his wife in their chambers. She was actually his second wife, after Mary of Savoy had borne him 2 sons and died. He hadn't felt particularly loved by her either. Making his way across the marble-floored corridor, he crossed paths with a strange man in a black hat sporting an ostrich feather. He had never seen him before. The man bowed.
Votre Majesté.
Then continued on his way. As he walked past him, the king felt something brush against the white cotton of his shirt, as if the man had touched him. But when he turned to look, the man was gone. He would ask the queen who the man was. She always had her finger on all the comings and goings at court. The servants opened the door to the queen's chamber with reverence. Queen Elizabeth Farnese, Elisabetta Farnese, daughter to the Crown Prince of Parma and relative of the very Medici family itself, was sitting at her desk. This woman truly pulled the strings at court, with her pockmarked face from a childhood illness. The king marched to her side, smiling like a little child. Both so busy with matters of state, they rarely saw each other. Only for these appointments.
I'm here.
She stood, then pushed him with cold fingers toward the bed.
Oh, there you are. Come make me mother to a king.
She always said the same thing. It was a bit odd, considering he already had 2 sons from his previous marriage, and they were first in line for the throne. But he knew the idea of power excited her, so, after removing his white powdered wig and silk clothing, he let her ride out her fantasy. When they finished, he reached out to touch her shoulder. She simply rolled over, put her stockinged feet on the floor, and donned her white cotton undershirt. The king whined.
Why don't you love me? Love? Huh. You know as well as I do that us royals don't marry for love. We marry for power.
The king tried to put his hand on her shoulder again.
You've touched me quite enough for one day.
He sighed, then sat up in the bed. Suddenly, he thought of the man in the black hat. This topic, he knew, would interest her.
Do you know who the man in the black hat with the ostrich feather is? Oh, he's new in court. From Orléans. I'd say he's harmless, but you can never be too sure. Be on your guard. You do remember what happened to Henrietta Ann Stewart.
They had poisoned her. Suddenly, he froze when he remembered the way the man had brushed his shirt. What if he had laced the fabric with a murderous substance? That would be possible, wouldn't it? The king grabbed the bottom of the shirt the queen had just donned, then yanked it back over her head, leaving her topless.
Give that to me. I'm gonna wear it. What? And have all my shirts burned.
The queen cocked her eye at him.
Sometimes you are so strange that I loathe you.
A moment of silence. Then, the king decided to take his little friend's advice.
Have you thought about confiding in her?
He took a deep breath, then spit it out.
Elizabeth, there's something I need to tell you. I want to abdicate the throne. I'm tired. I never wanted this, and I certainly don't want to live my life in fear of being poisoned.
She turned and stared at him, straight in the eye. Her jaw dropped for a moment. Then she threw back her head and burst out laughing.
What a ridiculous, stupid thing to say. Power is the one thing you can give me. And besides, no one wants to give up their power.
Of course she would say that. She liked being married to a king, peddling her influence at court, and dreaming that maybe she herself could be mother to a king one day, despite his 2 other sons in line.
Don't you even care about my feelings?
The queen's answer bore no hesitation.
No, I don't.
King Philip had had enough. Fine. If the old-fashioned way didn't work, then magic would just have to do. She would love him, one way or another. He forced her to get dressed, then grabbed her by the wrist.
Ah, where are you taking me? To the gardens.
And to the gardens they went, the king dragging the queen along.
Ow! You're hurting me. Shush. Duende, where are you? Duende?
They arrived at the pond, but the little green man was nowhere to be seen. The queen protested.
What is wrong with you? You're acting like a madman. Duende, come play your flute.
The queen slipped from his grasp and ran back toward the palace.
You're insane.
No sooner had she left than the tiny man appeared.
Where were you? I was calling you. Why won't you play your flute? I want you to play your flute for us.
The man spoke.
I told you, I can't make her love you. I can only bring a loving couple together. Like them.
King Philip turned and saw the woman in the blue skirt and the man in the green jacket kissing beyond the trees. The little man jumped out of the thicket for a moment, just a brief moment, just enough for them to catch a glimpse.
Oh, did you just see that little creature?
And then they embraced. The man continued.
With you, I didn't exactly see a loving couple. But I did what you told me. I confided in her. And even so, but did you listen to her too?
No, actually. He hadn't thought of that. That evening, in his chamber, the king touched his skin. It was clammy and slimy to the touch, with extra flaps of skin between his fingers. When he crawled into bed that night, his sleep was tormented by images of pollywogs and men in black hats waiting outside his door to poison him.
Votre Majesty.
No! Don't let him in!
The queen, popping out baby after baby.
Make me mother to a king, stupid silly man. Make me mother to a king. What a stupid silly man you are.
The dreams went on for weeks, then years. King Philip was desperate to fulfill his wish.
If no one will love me, I want to abdicate the throne. I want to be a frog. Keep the man in the black hat away from me.
He lay in bed, feverish, refusing to wear any shirts other than the queen's. When the court and other authorities saw what a state he was in, they had no choice but to grant his wish. He abdicated the throne to his son Louis I. The king was overjoyed.
I'm finally free!
Free from the pomp and circumstance of court. With all this time on their hands, the queen would have no choice but to fall in love with him.
Can you imagine? All this time for you to be with me.
But the queen was having none of it. Her dolt of a husband had taken her from court, from power. Her dismay turned to triumph, however, when the king's son, Louis I, died of sudden illness, just 229 days later, the shortest reign in Spanish history. Triumph because she was back at court. And triumph because this son's death brought her own sons that much closer to wearing the Spanish crown. And poor King Philip was back on the throne.
No!
The nightmares continued. Monstrous babies popping from the queen's stomach. Hordes of men in black hats with ostrich feathers crowding his room.
I'm going to poison. I'm going to poison. I'm going to poison. Votre Majesty.
No! Don't let him in!
The king didn't even wear his wife's shirts anymore. Now, he wore nothing. Give them nothing to poison him with. Better safe than sorry. He commanded that a group of guards be stationed by his bedchamber door.
No one may enter, especially if they're wearing a black hat with an ostrich feather.
The guards shared awkward and confused glances, but they obeyed. That night, the king touched his skin again, still clammy and slimy. The webbing between his fingers and toes had grown a bit thicker, and his arms, ever so slightly, jutted back at a 90-degree angle toward his shoulders. And suddenly, an idea occurred to him. Why hadn't he thought of it before? He could just abdicate again. Taking a quill and paper, he wrote,
I, King Philip V, hereby abdicate,
and gave the letter to one of the guards outside the door. This guard, however, promptly gave the letter to Queen Elizabeth. She was furious. She flung open the door to his chambers.
What is the meaning of this?
Suddenly, the king was aware of his nakedness, of the queen's look of disappointment and disapproval. And he remembered the little man's words.
But did you listen to her?
In his rush to abdicate, in his fear of being poisoned, he had forgotten all about that.
Elizabeth, do you want to tell me what's on your heart?
The queen narrowed her eyes, taking in his gaunt, naked form. Then she spoke with venom.
What's on my heart? that I'm sick of your complaining. For years, your feelings. You want to abdicate. You want love. You want this. You want that. Where is your sense of responsibility? If it weren't for me, all of Spain would fall apart. It's all about you. What's on my heart? I wanted one of my babies to be king, not to be married to a baby for a king.
And with that, she banged the door open and left the room. He had tried everything. What was wrong with her? How could she still not love him? Years had passed since he had spoken to his friend. He needed him now. Still naked, he ran out to the gardens, to the thicket by the pond.
Duende! Duende, where are you?
It didn't take long for the little green man with the jagged teeth to appear. He gently shook his bulbous head from side to side when he saw what a sorry state the king was in.
I've done everything right. I've given Spain all I have, and factions of the country still refuse to support me. I'm tired, and they won't let me abdicate. I want to leave. And I did what you told me to do with the queen, too. I followed all your instructions, and she still doesn't love me.
The man said nothing for a moment. Then, he opened his mouth with the jagged teeth.
What do you want me to do? Tell me what to do to make her love me. I want you to play your stupid little flute and make flowers grow and make us be together forever. You know I can't do that. But I did everything right. Sometimes, no matter how hard you try, it's just not a good fit. And there's nothing to be done. There's that. And there's also the fact that you think a great deal about yourself.
The king croaked in frustration, then ran back toward the palace. When he reached his chambers, the guard detail was not at the door. Strange. He entered, then looked at his naked, clammy, slimy green body. The webbing between his finger and toes, now fully knit. His mouth and nose smushed together in a mass of tissue where his face once was. His head, bald and shiny. His arms no longer human, thin bone covered in stretched leather. They stuck out at a sharp angle from his shoulders. A knock at the door. The king's beady eyes flitted every which way. Who could that be? He croaked.
Enter!
The door slowly opened to reveal the man in the black hat with the ostrich feather. With no soldiers to guard the door, he had finally made his move. The king did not cry out. He did not weep. He simply laughed.
I'm not afraid of you anymore. You know why? Because I'm a froggy, and I'm naked. I'm a froggy, I'm a froggy, I'm a froggy!
The king cavorted around the room on all fours, his buttocks covered in green slime. Hopped on his webbed toes, cackled. Jumping high like he never had before.
I'm a froggy!
He took one final great leap, then collapsed to the ground in a mess of slimy, algae-like flesh. Dead of a brain stroke. Both King Philip and Queen Elizabeth got their wish. In death, he was no longer forced to sit on the throne. It took Elizabeth a bit longer to fulfill hers. After King Philip's death, his remaining son, from his first marriage, Ferdinand VI, ordered Queen Elizabeth to leave the palace of the Buen Retiro. She was exiled to a different residence, La Granja de San Ildefonso, near Segovia, for 13 years. Whereupon Ferdinand also died, and Elizabeth's son, Charles III, took the Spanish crown. And thus, Elizabeth was finally made mother to a king. In and around Retiro Park, Madrid, 2026. The little man is perched on top of his house above the little cave in the corner of the park. He's looking outside the park, toward a balcony to a studio apartment in a building that overlooks the Retiro. Inside the studio apartment, Isa and the blonde woman are just waking up. After Isa rescued her from the pond, she invited her back to her house to dry off. It was just a 5-minute walk from the pond. Exhausted, they had fallen asleep in the studio's single bed together. After all was said and done, the little man didn't mind that he had been forced to reveal himself. Isa jumping into the water to save that woman like that? He figures they will be just fine together. And anyway, he got his flute back in the underwater confusion. They probably still think he's some kind of creep that got away, but that doesn't matter now. The rays of sunshine make Isa's eyes flutter open. She speaks first.
Good morning.
The blonde woman responds.
My socks feel disgusting. I forgot to take them off last night.
Isa feels caked, dirty fabric clinging to her own feet.
Ugh, I forgot to take mine off too.
Pulling her legs out from under the covers, she peels the socks off and chucks them at the hamper next to the glass balcony door. She misses. The blonde woman follows suit, then she misses too. Isa jumps out of the bed to put them into the hamper. The blonde woman jumps after her.
Hang on, I'll help you.
Isa never did hear the rest of her therapist's sentence when the call dropped.
Everyone is worthy of love, and you did nothing wrong by setting boundaries and expectations. But remember not to take it too far in the other direction. Ask yourself this: are you entitled to someone's love if you're giving nothing in return?
Sometimes, life teaches you lessons better than any therapist ever could. When the blonde woman reaches the hamper and tosses the 4 socks inside, she looks at the planter on the balcony. It's empty. The woman looks out over the park with the city skyscrapers behind it.
I'd missed Madrid. Did you just move back or something? Well, I was born here, but I moved up north when I was a little kid.
Framed by the balcony door, the rays of sunshine glint off the woman's blonde hair. Suddenly, Isa realizes.
You never told me your name.
The woman finds this almost funny.
Oh my God, you're right. After we had an adventure together and everything. You told me your name, but I never introduced myself.
Her laughter tinkles. And there's a mole under her bottom left lip that bounces.
My name is...
Down below, in his little house in the corner of the park, the little green man plays his flute, staring at the balcony. Inside the empty planter, a daisy begins to grow. Hola, Samuel here. Duende can be translated into English several different ways. Imp, elf, goblin, spirit, pixie. The voices told me that some words are best left untranslated. You can see a statue of the green little duende in the Retiro Park today. He's perched atop a cave that used to house live bears in the corner of the park, playing his little flute. Jose Noja made this statue in 1985 in tribute to the legend. The legend tells of King Phillip V, astounded to discover flowers growing to maturity overnight, planted by a duende with a magical flute. It's said that couples who caught a glimpse of this same duende would be together forever. Speaking of King Phillip V, I personally think it's kind of a shame that so much of Spain hated him at the time. He founded the Royal Academy of Spanish to standardize the language, along with the Academy of Science. He provided scholarships so the more disadvantaged had access to higher education. He rooted out major corruption among civil servants and also balanced tax burdens at a time when the state was sagging under its own weight. This brought economic stability back to the country. He did some really good stuff, even if he was a bit self-obsessed. A religiously devout man, he also suffered from what they called melancholy, and what I would fairly confidently say we would call mental illness today. There are multiple reports of his paranoia. He really did wear his wife's shirts, and he believed himself to be a frog. King Philip V held the throne from 1700 to 1746, only interrupted by his brief abdication to his son. Paradoxically, the man who never wanted to be king holds the record for the longest reign in the Spanish monarchy, while his son holds the shortest. The written record states that his wife was a true force to be reckoned with. She loved the power and pulling strings at court. Too bad for her that he didn't want to be a king. At least, she got to mother one. If you want to learn more about Philip V, there is a highly entertaining drama series called La Vida Breve, or The Brief Life. It focuses on the period when he abdicated to his son, complete with hallucinations of frogs and all. I'm linking in the show notes. I'm also linking to the location of the Duende, if you'd like to see him in the park for yourself. Check our Facebook and Instagram communities to see original footage of the Retiro Park and the Duende himself that I took while recording and researching this episode. There are also images of King Philip V in his fabulous silk outfits with powdered wigs. And Queen Elizabeth, who looks so fierce, I think she'd beat me in an arm wrestling match. Just search for @SpanishSundown. Drop by and leave a comment. It makes my day to hear from you. I'm Samuel Mattern, and I created and produced this podcast. Special thanks to Simon Jones for the original theme music. And whatever your plans this February 14th, I hope you enjoy yourself. Until night falls and the voices speak again, thank you for listening to Spanish Sundown.